Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I was deeply saddened to hear the news, of course, last week of the passing of Mr Football himself, Les Murray. And today I want to make a contribution not only as the co-chair of the Parliamentary Friends of SBS and also the co-chair of the Parliamentary Friends of Multiculturalism, but mostly I want to make a contribution as an avid fan of Les Murray's work and his legacy. It will not be an overstatement to call Les Murray an Australian icon, Mr Australian football, as he insisted always calling soccer the beautiful game. Deputy Speaker, I recall his presence at the annual Harmony Day exhibition friendly games, soccer games, which were played up here between SBS, the SBS side, and the pollies, the politicians. They were, of course, anything but friendly sometimes, especially when the SBS squad underestimated the ferocity of the pollies side. These games, Deputy Speaker, were played on a Thursday morning on that peculiarly oval-shaped pitch on the Senate side, and Les Murray was ever present, as always, at any occasion that promoted football or soccer, and bestowed always the virtues of the game by bringing together people from all walks of life. I recall a particular Harmony Day game in 2013 when the then Minister for Sport and captain of the Police team, Senator Kate Lundy, who was about to go into a 50-50 challenge with Les Murray, was alerted to some hazards by my husband, actually, Michalis, who was playing as a marquee defender for the police side. She was alerted, and as Michalis yelled out, "Watch out for the Australian icon," everyone around responded, "Which icon?" As they looked around. The truth is they all knew who the icon was. That was the state of the presence of Les Murray on a soccer field. Les was indeed a tireless promoter and advocate of football. We've said that on many occasions. He was the voice of the world game in his adopted home, Australia, and he was and will always be remembered as a true Australian sporting icon. He captured the hearts of lovers of the world game here in Australia with his encyclopedic knowledge of the sport, his passion for every heroic victory and every devastating defeat. But it was his work in integrating migrants into Australia through football and making the world game Australia's football that I want to remember today. Les arrived in Australia as a young refugee from Hungary from a war-torn Europe, and because of this, he spent his life advocating for the rights of migrants and refugees. Outspoken and brave, Les fought for the protection and justice for refugees. The role Les Murray played in developing football in Australia and making it part of our mainstream sports should never be underestimated, Mr Deputy Speaker, for it was Les Murray, alongside Johnny Warren and other sports commentators such as Antipas Khalidis, George Danikian and more recently Craig Foster, that gave football its voice in Australia. I myself remember spending many Sundays sitting in our family living room with my family, and Les would beam into our living room through his SBS TV footy show, The World Game as it was known. And I distinctly do remember that I felt very proud that he was a person who spoke impeccable English with a Woggish accent. It resonated with me because he spoke just like my family and my neighbours. And of course there was nothing to be ashamed of or to hide from. That having an accent should not impede you from being heard and partaking in public speaking in mainstream Australian TV. When he occasionally had the opportunity to show his prowess in other languages, I marvelled at the way that he crisscrossed and just slid through and fused other languages with his English. He did it so beautifully. And I think it was a real reflection of the multilingual nature of this society of Australia. I remember thinking how fabulous, of course it was, how fabulous English rather sounded with an accent. Les Murray made it cool to be ethnic. With football, he gave all migrant families a tool to feel proud, a vehicle to integrate with a sport that they could all excel in. And I've seen that happen even today with the juniors and the young kids in my electorate, that sense of pride that they are very, very good at playing this wonderful, beautiful game. Together with others, he made this WOG game mainstream. But even when soccer became acceptable, respectful and chic, Les always paid homage to its humble origins from the ethnic migrant communities and clubs that it came from. The South Melbourne Hellas Soccer Club, the Melbourne Knights in my electorate, Adelaide Juventus, Harcoa, Marconi, Apia, Sydney Olympic and so many others. Les Murray's legacy continues today, of course, through his children, their children, our children, everybody's children who have turned the world game into Australia's football. My condolences go out to his family, including his wife and 2 daughters, his friends, his colleagues at SBS and beyond, and the football fans and sporting community who are indeed mourning the loss of this monumental Australian sporting icon.
I thank the member for Corwell, and just on a point, you forgot to mention the West Adelaide Hellas Club in South Australia as well.